North Korea has at least 13 operating missile bases that its government has not declared, a network designed to maintain Pyongyang's ability to launch missiles capable of reaching the continental U.S. even after joint airstrikes by South Korean and American forces, according to new reports from a Washington think tank. Satellite imagery of one such site, located 135 kilometers 84 miles northwest of Seoul, reveals entrances to 7 underground missile facilities and missile launchers hidden by camouflaged tarps, said one of 2 reports on Monday by the Beyond Parallel program of the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, a Washington-based think tank. Imagery of the Sakan-Mol missile base continues to show minor infrastructure changes to the base that are consistent with what is often seen at remote Korean People's Army bases of all types, the report said. As of November 2018, the base is active and being reasonably well maintained by North Korean standards. Beyond Parallel is led by Victor Cha, who was a candidate to become Washington's ambassador to South Korea, a position left open by U.S. President Donald Trump more than a year into his term in the White House. The program is a clearinghouse for information and ideas about Korean unification. Halt all hostile acts. North Korea accuses U.S. Seoul of violating pact. The CSIS reports would appear to complicate efforts by Trump and U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to hold North Korean leader Kim Jong-un to denuclearization pledges he and his ministers have made in the months since Trump's summit with Kim in Singapore in June. We have known for some time that North Koreans are starting to deploy and even test missiles at the unit level, said Stephen Haggard, a professor of Korea-Pacific Studies at the University of California at San Diego. The last round of tests under Kim Jong-un were not just coming from missile test sites. What the CSIS reports show is how hard it will be to really cap the program, Haggard said. And of course, no one seriously believes that North Korea's underlying capability has been neutralized. That is a fantasy. The only thing we have at the moment is a freeze on testing, which could, of course, be reversed easily. Trump has faced criticism that his approach to North Korea is allowing Kim to continue building his nuclear missile capability. The president has countered that his strategy stopped the country's missile test firings and underground nuclear tests, which occurred several times in 2017. The CSIS reports may give Trump's critics more ammunition. Trump expects another meeting with Kim sometime early next year, after extensive research, including interviews with North Korean defectors and government, defense and intelligence officials around the world. Many of these issues have been addressed, and it appears that the KPA, Korean People's Army, currently has approximately 15 to 20 missile operating bases, CSIS said in another report on Monday. Beyond Parallel classifies the operational North Korean missile bases into 3 zones, or belts, with the closest, where Sakan-Mol is located, considered to be tactical. Some 50 to 90 kilometers, 31 to 56 miles, from the demilitarized zone that has separated the 2 Koreas since 1953, these bases are far enough forward to provide coverage of critical facilities in the northern 2/3 of South Korea, yet far enough from the DMZ to be beyond the range of South Korean and U.S. long-range artillery, the report said. North Korea threatens continued nuclear development if sanctions not eased. Bases in the furthest, or strategic belt are more than 150 kilometers 93 miles from the DMZ, and are likely to be equipped with the Hwasong class of missiles, which can reach the U.S. mainland, according to the report. The dispersed deployment of these bases and distinctive tactics employed by ballistic missile units are combined with decades of extensive camouflage, concealment and deception practices to maximize the survival of its missile units from preemptive strikes and during wartime operations, it said. Rather than returning to an operating base, which will undoubtedly be the target of repeated attacks, both the technical support element and launchers will remain in the field using pre-positioned reloads and supplies while moving frequently to different pre-surveyed locations, the report said. U.S. envoy, confident, North Korean denuclearization within reach. U.S. officials including Pompeo and Nikki Haley, Washington's ambassador to the UN, have insisted on North Korea's complete, verifiable, irreversible denuclearization, before approving any scaling back of UN Security Council sanctions meant to cut the country's external trade to humanitarian aid and small quantities of fuel. Pyongyang has asked for phased and synchronized measures for denuclearization, meaning the international community would slowly relax or drop sanctions with each step in the denuclearization process, rather than waiting until its completion. Chairman Kim has repeatedly expressed his strong will to denuclearize. South Korea's President Moon Jae-in said after meeting the North Korean leader in September, adding that the North Korean leader wanted to focus on economic development as soon as possible. North Korea calls on U.S. to immediately lift sanctions. The Trump administration abandoned Victor Cha as its pick for the South Korean ambassador's post because Cha disagreed with the bloody nose preventive strike strategy proposed by some in the administration as a way to achieve the president's goal of removing nuclear weapons from the Korean peninsula, according to analysts interviewed by the South China Morning Post at the time. Cha is a former director for Asian Affairs in the White House's National Security Council and was a top advisor for Korean affairs under U.S. President George W. Bush. Additional reporting by Zhen Hualu.